Hi everyone, I'm FlygonHG, and today, for no specific reason at all, is the day that I attempt to do a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokémon FireRed using a single Magikarp. To see what I define as hardcore Nuzlocke rules, check out the description below. But in short, no items in battle, no overleveling past the gym leader's ace before the start of the battle, and we're playing on set mode. Magikarps are a lot like vacuums. Despite many other Pokemon having notably lower base stat totals, Magikarp is pretty iconic for sucking. It's pretty much just a fish, with all the special powers that you would expect a fish to have, namely none. So how the freaking heck am I going to complete a hardcore Nuzlocke with a single 22-pound slab of seafood? Well, where the world sees a stupid little fish flopping on the ground desperately using its 2 brain cells to gasp for life, I see a misunderstood prodigy who, with the right amount of love and hard work, can be propelled to new heights of fishy greatness. With friendship, there's nothing Magikarp can't do, so let's just see how this goes. I close my eyes and the flashback starts, as I wake up in Pallet Town. I love how quickly this game starts. There's no pretense or needless dialogue like in any of the other Pokemon games. Your mom just vacantly stares at the wall as you walk out of the house, never to return. There's no neighbors to meet, no cutscenes, no instructions on what to do even. You just have to meander into the tall grass and boom, Professor Oak stops you from being assaulted by a level 2 Rattata. Oh, how simple it all used to be. Just like that, roughly 90 seconds after gaining consciousness, Professor Oak has given me the option to adopt one of 3 Pokemon as my starter. For our challenge, Squirtle has been replaced by Magikarp so that my rival will have Bulbasaur. I named the Magikarp that I get Legend. Now some of you veteran Pokemon players out there might be thinking, wait a dang minute, how do I even beat the first rival fight? Magikarp only knows Splash, so there's no way to win this battle, much less any battle before level 15, when Legend learns her first attacking move, Tackle. But that, my friends, is only true if you ignore Magikarp's full potential. Pokemon lore experts will know that the Pokemon Mew shares DNA with all Pokemon in existence. It therefore stands to reason that all Pokemon share DNA with Mew, and through the transitive property, all Pokemon share DNA with each other. So, using complex bioengineering techniques, we can extract Magikarp's DNA and alter it to express the traits and abilities of any Pokemon that we want. Don't believe me? Well, I literally have a PhD in biomedical engineering, so what I'm saying has to be true. All of this means that within Magikarp lies the raw power of a Mew, as well as the potential to learn any move in existence, if you know how to edit Pokemon DNA. Fortunately, we're in Professor Oak's lab, the leading expert on Pokemon. So, by reading all the books on his back bookshelf, we are able to crack Magikarp's genome, and then use the machine in the back left corner to transform Legend the Magikarp into, well, a legend. So, when it's time for our battle with April 1st, this fool doesn't know what's about to hit him. He sends out his lame, genetically unaltered Bulbasaur, and then I send out Legend. And we can immediately see the rewards of our genetic engineering. Legend knows Blast Burn, which she uses to obliterate Bulbasaur in one fell swoop, netting Legend her first kill of many, many kills. With that, our journey can truly begin. After burning down every single living being in Viridian Forest, Legend and I get to Pewter City. Against a dweeb in short shorts, Legend levels up to level 10 and learns Surf. Science is so cool. With that, we're able to easily take on Brock and his pet rocks. They each fall to a single Surf, and I don't even give him the courtesy of getting to the level cap. So that's badge number 1. On our way to Cerulean City, I pick up the Dome Fossil. Not much else to say about that. But once I get to Cerulean City, it's time for a second showdown against April 1st, who has collected quite a few more Pokemon. Fortunately, Legend has learned Thunderbolt by this point, so with her best Pikachu impersonation, she's able to electrocute the Pidgeotto that April 1st leads with. Ivysaur comes out second, but just gets eviscerated by a Blast Burn. Even Legends do have to rest though, so we recharge on the next turn, but since April 1st just sends out his Abra, all he can do is use Teleport. Last is Rattata, who just drowns to a single Surf, netting us yet another easy victory against our rival. By the time we get to the end of Nugget Bridge, Legend levels up to level 20, which means nothing. Nothing happens. Okay, moving on. Now it's time for Misty. Legend has also learned Ice Beam at this point, replacing Splash, but we obviously don't need that move for this battle. A Thunderbolt just one-shots Misty's lead Staryu, causing her Starmie to come out next. Starmie actually manages to outspeed Legend here and hit us off swift. They then also hang on from a Thunderbolt. Misty heals on the next turn, so Starmie does survive another Thunderbolt, but that's not a problem. It's just a small blow to Legend's ego. After tanking one more Soft Swift, a third Thunderbolt knocks out Legend's first real competition and gets us badge number 2. Next up, it's time to save Bill from his insanely unethical experiment. You ever notice that Bill says he combined himself with a Pokemon, but once he goes through the teleporter, only Bill comes out? Where did the Clefairy go? I guess she's just yet another casualty in the name of progress. I really hope it was worth it, Bill, because Clefairy's blood is on your hands. Seemingly ignorant to the horrors of his actions, Bill just gives me a ticket to a fancy party on board the SS Anne. But instead of getting to go to the party, I just go and massage an old man's back. It's high school all over again. As thanks, the old man does give me the HM for cut, which is cool since Lieutenant Surge seems to have picked an incredibly inconvenient place to do some gardening. In order to avoid burdening Legend with every HM in the game, I decide to catch another Magikarp. This one I name Fish, and I alter his genetic code as well so that he can be used for HMs. But we of course won't be using Fish in battles. This now gets me to the third gym against Lieutenant Surge, who starts by telling me that I wouldn't live long in combat. Yeah man, I'm literally a child. What a psychotic thing to say. Oh, that's a really lovely drawing of a horse there, little Timmy, but you definitely would have died in the trenches of World War I. If not from the relentless fire of machine guns, certainly from the trench foot, you pathetic waste of oxygen. Anyways, despite having electric types, Lieutenant Surge isn't much of an issue. Voltorb and Pikachu both go down to a Surf apiece. Raichu is last for Lieutenant Surge, and he manages to hang on from a Surf. He then paralyzes Legend with a Thunder Wave. This could get pretty bad pretty quickly, since Raichu then goes for a double team, but Legend immediately connects with a Surf on the next turn, and finishes him off, winning us the third gym badge. From here, we have to make our way through Rock Tunnel and navigate to Celadon City. Unfortunately, due to the sheer number of trainers I have to smack around with my fish, Legend does technically overlevel by the time we get to Erika. I very likely could do this without overleveling if I managed to avoid a few dodgeable trainers, but I don't really feel like resetting, and it's not like this is what's gonna ruin the integrity of this challenge. I promise you that the extra level really doesn't make a difference. That's because Ice Beams from Legend just plow through Erika's entire team. Victory Bell and Tangela both fall to a single Ice Beam apiece. Vileplume comes out and does have better special defense than the previous two Pokemon, so Ice Beam doesn't get the kill, but it does freeze. Can't spell Vileplume without L. 2, actually. Despite a wildly useful full heal from Erika, Vileplume does fall to another Ice Beam, winning us the 4th gym badge. At this point, the level cap skyrockets, and it's time to explore the rest of Kanto, where Legend and I get to go on a murder spree with a pretty eclectic list of victims. The head of a domestic terrorist agency? Dead. A rival with an obvious name to hopefully ward off oblivious commenters? Dead. The restless spirit of a grieving mother? Dead. Or more dead. A roadblock to the environmentally conscious members of the working class during their morning commutes? Also dead. The larger Legend's body count becomes, the more powerful she grows. Soon there will be nothing that can stop Legend and I. In Fuchsia City, I face the 5th gym leader Koga, who shares a level cap of 43 with the 6th gym leader Sabrina. Since there's a decent amount to do between those two gyms, I do have to go into Koga a little underleveled. Fortunately, I gave Legend the TM for Psychic, so she's able to one-shot a fair number of Koga's Pokemon, starting with his lead Coughing. Muck comes out second, and thanks to his special defense, there's no way we one-shot. But Legend learned Spore at level 30, used a little bit of Parasect DNA for that one, so the Muck stays asleep as we take him out with 2 Psychics. The second Coughing that comes out also falls to a single Psychic. Wheezing is out last, and I'm not sure if he falls to a single Psychic here, so I do hit him with a Spore. Koga then uses a full heal, and then Legend actually hits a critical hit Psychic, so I guess we'll never know if Wheezing was a one-shot. Either way, that's badge number 5. Now it's time to head to Saffron City and save the Silph Co from the clutches of Team Rocket. After beating our rival like a drum, I face off against Giovanni. He leads with a Nidorino. I foolishly go for Surf here instead of Psychic, so Nidorino does hang on in the red, but then he just misses Fury Attack. Never punished. Nidoqueen is out next for Giovanni, and thanks to her ground typing, I assume a Surf will be enough for a one-shot, but she survives in the red, letting her fire off a Body Slam, which does of course paralyze Legend. This means that Giovanni will now outspeed Legend, and we're at risk to getting fully paralyzed. It's gonna be absolutely embarrassing if I wipe to freaking Giovanni of all people. Fortunately, Nidoqueen just goes down after only doing a small amount of damage with Poison Sting. Kangaskhan is next and hits a Tail Whip, meaning that a follow-up attack will do massive damage. Unless she just uses Rage. And since we miraculously didn't get fully paralyzed even once, Kangaskhan falls. Rhyhorn is out last and does hit a pretty hard Rock Blast thanks to that defense drop from Tail Whip. but he only gets off 2 hits before Legend lives up to her name and connects with the Surf to drown the Rhyhorn in 1 shot. It's amazing how bad Giovanni is. In the hands of remotely competent AI, that probably would have been a wipe. But since Giovanni is completely incompetent, my paralyzed Magikarp and I have managed to save the life of the president of Silph Co. As a thanks, he gives me a Master Ball. The next obstacle is the 6th gym leader Sabrina and her psychic types. They all have pretty strong special attack and special defense, meaning that Legend with her special attacks like Surf isn't a great answer to this gym. What I want to do is teach Legend the TM for Shadow Ball, which I can get from the Celadon City Game Corner. Unfortunately, I'm a little too poor to afford the coins needed to get the TM, and thanks to the level cap, I can't actually farm money from trainer battles. This is all pretty messed up, given that I literally just saved the life of the richest man in Kanto. The reward that I got for saving his life, by the way, I can't even sell. Instead, I have to sell off my personal collection of TMs, rare candies, and various items that I picked up from Mount Moon. Fortunately, it's just enough to get 4,500 coins and purchase the TM for Shadow Ball. So, with Legend's new spherically ghostly powers, she plows through Sabrina's team like a field. For whatever reason, Sabrina does have a Venomoth, which isn't Psychic type, so I make sure to put her to sleep with Spore, and then take her out with a few Surfs, since I replaced Psychic for Shadow Ball. But all 3 of Sabrina's other Pokemon go down to a single Shadow Ball, netting us the 6th gym badge. We may be destitute, but at least we've got 6 shiny pieces of metal. And we're about to get another one without even breaking a sweat, because next up is Blaine, who might be the easiest gym leader in the entire series. I click Surf 4 times to drown his 2 dogs and his 2 cows, and that's all she wrote. The 7th gym badge is ours. The 8th gym badge is almost as easy. By the time we get to Giovanni, I've collected enough money to purchase a Mystic Water from the game corner, so it's just another Surf spam. This time, we actually beat Giovanni so badly that he dissolves Team Rocket on the spot. I mean, fair. That's badge number 8. With that, it's almost time to face down the Elite 4, but in order to do that, I'm going to need a few TMs from the game corner, which means I'm going to need a lot more money. Fortunately, with the new level cap, there's some wiggle room to challenge trainers with the Versus Seeker for some extra cash. Ideally, I'm looking for a trainer class that shells out a lot of cash per battle, something like a gentleman. But I quickly learned that I'm not the only one strapped for cash in Kanto. It turns out that every trainer in Kanto is dirt poor. I can't find a single trainer that's Versus Seekerable who's willing to shell out more than about 1,000 Poke. Given Lieutenant Surge's mention of a war, and the fact that the president of Silph Co is richer than money itself, this general lack of a middle class in Kanto is pretty concerning. It's clear here that a few capitalist bigwigs were able to profit off the war, while the rest of Kanto was left in a state of economic turmoil, creating staggering levels of income inequality. In fact, I bet that's why it was so easy for Giovanni to recruit members into Team Rocket. Is Team Rocket then perhaps less of a terrorist organization and more of a social movement? Maybe. Is this bit perhaps bordering on topics that could potentially get me in trouble? Definitely. So let's move on. Well, I managed to rack up some money by relentlessly beating this gambler over and over and over again. Really got to admire his resilience. I also scavenge through the Silph Co building and find a bunch of drugs that employees have stashed in plants. I can then unethically resell these drugs for much higher than their manufacturing cost. Oh crap, that's another controversial topic. Anyways, after a good amount of prep, here's my final team, which of course is just Legend the Magikarp leveled up to level 60 to match Lance's Dragonite. Admittedly, she will level up a few times before we get to Lance, but whatever. There's no turning back. It's now or never. Let's see if our genetically engineered Magikarp has what it takes to become a champion. First is Lorelei, the ice/water/psychic trainer. Since most of her Pokemon can't be one-shot, Legend has to put them first to sleep and then take them out with either Thunderbolt or Shadow Ball before they wake up. This could potentially get a little scary if any of Lorelei's Pokemon get early wake-ups, though Legend is holding a Lumberry in case Lapra wakes up early and hits a Confuse Ray, or one of her other Pokemon wakes up and gets a random freeze, so I'd have to get pretty unlucky for this fight to end poorly. But fortunately, Lorelei never even gets off a single attack. And so, we easily claim victory against our first Elite Four member. Next up is the guy with a name that's probably made the last few months of his life an absolute nightmare. He leads with a very scary fighting type, which goes down to a neutral Surf in one shot. Hitmonchan comes in threatening with Thunder Punch, and since he has good special defense, Legend puts him to sleep with a Spore. Then she hits a Surf. Hitmonchan does get the one-turn wake-up, but only hits a Rock Tomb. A paralysis from Thunder Punch would have been bad, but with just the single speed drop from Rock Tomb, Legend is still able to outspeed the rest of Bruno's hulking beefcakes. And since none of them get early wake-ups, they all drown in their sleep. Machamp actually does survive 2 surfs thanks to a citrus berry, so Bruno uses a full restore, meaning that the Machamp is fully conscious as he breathes his last breath. Bruno's final fighting type is also wide awake as we watch the lights leave his eyes with 1 final surf. That's 2 Elite Four members down. Third is Agatha. She leads with a Gengar, which I nail with a Shadow Ball, assuming that it'll be a clean one-shot. But Gengar hangs on with a Sliver and gets a double team off. So now things get interesting. Agatha heals Gengar back to full HP, and Legend goes for another Shadow Ball, but she misses. This is pretty scary because this Gengar knows Toxic. Legend is holding a Lumberry here, but if the Gengar manages to get off 2 Toxics before we take her out, I'm definitely gonna wipe here. I decide to go for Spore, but we miss and Gengar gets off another double team. Bad. I go for another Spore and we miss again as Gengar goes for a 3rd double team. Very bad. There is no way that this is how I lose the run, right? Because I didn't click Spore on turn 1? Well, I decide to switch to Shadow Ball, and thankfully Legend connects with a Shadow Ball. And thankfully it's a high roll which knocks out Gengar in 1 shot. Seriously, if Agatha had simply gone for Toxic twice instead of getting greedy with doing multiple double teams, we'd be talking about attempt 2 right now. From here, I learn from my mistake and Spore the rest of Agatha's Pokemon just in case we don't get the 1 shot. Golbat does go down to a single Thunderbolt though. Arbok comes in and gets off an Intimidate, but then she just sleeps for 2 turns as we take her out with 2 more surfs. Agatha's second Gengar is next, so I put her to sleep. I then hit a Shadow Ball, though at this point, thanks to the Intimidate, a Surf would definitely do more damage. But I don't remember that I got intimidated until after Gengar survives the second Shadow Ball with a Sliver and gets off a Hypnosis. Fortunately, the Lumberry comes in clutch here. And even though Agatha heals with a full restore thanks to the special defense drop from the Shadow Ball, a Surf is enough for a 1-shot. So last is Haunter. I put her to sleep with a Spore first just to be safe. And thankfully I did because Surf leaves her with the smallest amount of HP. But she just snoozes. So 1 more Surf ends the battle. Turns out that genetically engineering a Pokemon to know Spore and a powerful 95 base power stab move makes a lot of these battles pretty trivial. Gee, who would have guessed that? Anyways, that gets us to Lance. Legend has balled her last Shadow as I teach her Ice Beam to deal with these pesky dragons. Lance leads with Gyarados first, who is immediately felled by a Thunderbolt. What's a king to a god? Dragonair is second, and on the off chance I don't knock him out in 1 shot, I put him to sleep with Spore. Shed Skin ends up curing the sleep at the end of the turn, but that's fine, I can just put him back to sleep on the next turn. Shed Skin is a very lousy ability. And Ice Beam also does just 1-shot Dragonair, so whatever. Dragonair number 2 comes out next, and the exact same thing happens. I Spore him to sleep, Shed Skin cures the sleep, and then I Spore him to sleep again, and then an Ice Beam is a 1-shot. Fourth is Dragonite, so I will give you 1 chance to guess what we do. Yeah, we use Spore. And then on the next turn, Ice Beam doesn't get the kill, and Dragonite actually does wake up, but he just goes for a safeguard. It does mean that we can't put any of his Pokemon to sleep anymore, but after Lance spends a few turns healing, a final Ice Beam takes out the Dragonite. So last is Aerodactyl. And to my surprise, we outspeed the thing, so 1 Surf is all it takes to knock out the mighty winged dino. And that wins us the last Elite Four fight. With that, we've gotten to the champion. The final battle of this very serious and very real challenge run. 1 trainer is all that stands between me and beating this Hardcore Nuzlocke with a single Magikarp. Here we go. April 1st leads with Pidgeot, so I instantly put him to sleep. If he gets an early wake up and hits a sand attack, things could get pretty scary here. But he doesn't. After April 1st heals with a full restore, Legend just takes him out with a final critical hit Thunderbolt. Next up, April 1st goes with his ace Venusaur. We abandoned Blast Burn a while back, so I have to go with a Spore and then an Ice Beam, which doesn't do that much damage. Venusaur then wakes up and sets up a sunny day, so he now threatens with a single turn Solar Beam. A Citrus Berry also means that he might live another Ice Beam. So it's back to sleep with ya, you dumb plant. On the next turn, Legend does finish off the Venusaur with another Ice Beam, so I guess we weren't in any real danger. Alakazam is out next. Time to sleep. Since the sun is still out, I go for a Thunderbolt as Alakazam just snoozes. Then, once the sun fades, a full-powered Surf finishes him off. What a sucker. Rhydon comes out next, and obviously goes down to a Surf. So then next is Gyarados, but we saw what happened to Lance's blue pool noodle, and this one meets the same fate. And so, last is... You know what? Fine. For the 5 people who have managed to stick it out until the end of this very stupid video, this is for you. Last is Arcanine. He goes down to one final surf, winning us the battle and the run. Oof. You know, I've done a lot of pretty difficult challenges, but this one has to take the cake. I don't know if I or anyone else on the internet will ever be able to top what was accomplished here today. The strategies I used were some of the best I've ever come up with, and being forced to use only a single Pokemon in a hardcore Nuzlocke is certainly not for the faint of heart. Mad respect to anyone who even attempts this. On a serious note though, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy watching, please like the video and subscribe. Or don't. I don't know. But I do know that you should follow me on Twitter and Twitch to keep up with streams of my future challenges. You should also subscribe to my highlights channel to get highlights of the challenge I'm currently streaming before it's cut down to a video on the main channel. And be sure to join the Flag on HG community Discord where you can discuss Nuzlocking and contribute to future challenges. The links are in the description below. Stay tuned for more Nuzlocke videos, and until then, remember to never play around the critical hit.